Hi, everyone. Good evening. Happy Monday. Here is Andy, the social girl, Andrea Vieira, your favorite Latino host. And today I have a message for you all. If you think that spreading violence, you're going to stop violence, it's the opposite. So we live in an amazing place, a blessed country. And for all of you, like most of the country, are immigrants just like me. And there is no chance we're going to be able to live in this amazing place in peace if we spread hate. So let's spread love. And today I have a very special guest. Welcome to the show, Hobby.
How are you?
I'm good.
Thanks for
So
having me.
thank you for joining us at the show. The show is most watched by our Spanish community, but I do have like people um, that speak English and also Portuguese that follow us, and that's why sometimes we do Portuguese and English. And I hope the Latino community engage with you because I know we have a huge community of Latinos here in Innisfil and Barrie.
Interesting. I didn't see. For me, I'm Italian, right? So for me, growing up in Toronto, where I grew up, big Italian influence, big Italian community, and also lots of Latino community as well. So
And
Italian,
Portuguese,
Latino,
right? Because
Portuguese, yeah, absolutely.
20 years ago when I moved to Canada, basically Canada was like Toronto was Portuguese and Italian. And
Yeah,
when I tried to find a place to live, I fell in love with Vaughan because of the Italian community. Because I had one grandma from Calabria,
yeah,
and she was the closest. And like for me, Italian food is family.
yeah. It's definitely pasta, carbs, potatoes. You got it all. Pizza.
Yeah, don't tell me. No, let's not talk about the carbs. Okay, let's just talk about the love of the food.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So please introduce yourself. Tell me
Yeah.
a little bit about you, how you start your journeys in personal training. But the most important part is that you're not like a normal personal trainer. You're
Right.
very focused on the whole aspect.
Yes, that's right. The whole lifestyle, the entire longevity, sustainability. So my name's Rob Zappone. Thank you for everyone, and thank you, Andrea, for having me on the show, Andy. I appreciate it. I always love coming out and talking about health and fitness and giving tips and tricks on how you can make this sustainable and lifelong rather than it be this short burst of something that we do and then we kind of fail and we forget about it and then we kind of fall off the map, right?
Mhm.
So a little bit about myself. I am going to be 30 in February. So I graduated university from the University of Guelph with a Bachelor's of Applied Science in Kinesiology. And I also have a diploma in health and fitness from Humber College. I did both at the same time. And pretty much my background growing up, standard Canadian kid, hockey was my sport, super active. I was the youngest of three brothers. So lots and lots of activity, outside all the time. Hockey, soccer, football, whatever it was, that's what we did. We just found ways to go outside and have some fun, which I feel doesn't really happen these days. I know there's a lot of, with technology and with Instagram, social media, PlayStation, Xbox, computer games. COVID didn't help either, so it really kind of locked everyone down. So feels a little bit weird to say that what I did in my childhood, you don't really see it too often. But so I grew up playing sports, being pretty active. I was actually an overweight, I would say husky. Right? I'd say I was a husky child. Always was bigger for whatever reason. I actually didn't eat pasta until I was like 12 or 13 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so all the talk about the Italian food, I kind of used to say no to it. My nonna used to get very upset, but so for me, I don't know. Maybe it was weight that I would use later to grow because I was active. So it was very strange to me. I always thought to myself, why am I so much bigger, even though I'm doing the same thing that the kids are doing? So that's where my passion for fitness really started to kind of grow because funny story. I used to play, so during hockey, I used to get really, really bad stomach cramps, really bad, like nervousness where I couldn't even move. And when I was 9 years old, one of my trainers on the team, he told me to take my equipment off so he could look at my knee. And I looked at him and I'm like, but my stomach hurts. Why are you looking at my knee? He goes, just give me your knee. So I gave him my knee. He did some pressure point thing that I still don't know. I still don't really know what he did, but he did something. And my stomach cramps went away instantly. Within like 30 seconds, cramps gone.
Yeah.
And I was able to go on and play hockey. And from that moment on, I was like, I need to learn about the human body and I need to learn about how this works and how I can use this to my advantage. So from that point on, at 9 years old, I really knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to do something in health and fitness. It was never personal training for me right off the bat. It was just, I want to learn about the human body.
That's
so,
amazing.
Go ahead, sorry.
That's so amazing.
Yeah. It's very rare that you know what you're doing, what you want to do. Even after college, there's a lot of kids that don't know what they want to do still, right? So I kind of had a little bit of a guide. And then playing sports my whole life, I was involved in fitness and health, not by choice. I had to. If I wanted to play the sport, I had to be physically fit. So it was kind of something I grew up with. And then growing up the youngest of three brothers, like I said, they also played sports. They also played hockey and everything else. So I got to keep up with them. And, I learned training tips from them as well growing up. So once I graduated university, I didn't know what to do. Like I said, right? I didn't know, do I want to go into teaching? Do I want to go into physiotherapy? Do I want to do chiropractor? Personal training was always an option. So I decided to take a year to kind of just get to work, try different fields, see what I liked. I definitely not built for the office life. Tried an office job, 2 weeks, couldn't do it. Too much sitting. I'm the type of person that even now, I'm a type of, you'll see me, I'm moving. I'm the type of person that has to keep moving. So I ended up working at a physiotherapy clinic as a kinesiologist. So I did that for about 5 years, 4.5, 5 years. And pretty much, hopefully, forever who's listening, hopefully none of you have had to go to physio. If you do have to go to physio, there should be two components to everything that you do. There should be where you go and see your practitioner. So you go and see your chiropractor, you go and see your physiotherapist, your massage therapist, whoever's treating you. And they'll do what we call passive treatment. So that's the massage, acupuncture, needles, heat, manual, soft tissue, deep tissue, all that stuff. You lay down on the table, they do everything for you. That's great. The second part of physio is where I came in, where they would say, okay, you're going to go see Rob now, and he's going to put you through your workout. So for most people, you do need an active component. So that's any type of exercise that's directly related to the injury that you're going in for. So if you come in and you're like, Rob, I got low back pain. I don't know why. I just feel low back pain. It was up to me to figure out what was weak, what was tight, what needed to be worked on, what didn't need to be worked on. So that was my job for 5 years. You would come in, I put you through a workout, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and then off you went. And it was at that point where I realized I didn't want to do physio. I realized the hours were really long. I loved my job. I loved what I did. I loved the communication with it, the people, all my clients, all my coworkers. I loved it all. But it just didn't make sense. Number one, financially. And number two, I was there 65, 70 hours a week. So I didn't really have much opportunity to do anything else that I wanted. And I talked about it for a while. When I was about 2.5, 3 years in, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore, but I can't stop because this is my source of income. So I kind of got stuck. And I feel like a lot of people get stuck in their job because they feel like if they quit, like that income's not there. Right? So it kind of held me back for sure. And I don't want to say luckily, but COVID came and shut down everything. So it really gave me time the first lockdown, it really gave me time to take a step back and say, do I want to do this for longer, or am I going to take the opportunity now to make some change in my life for my career? And I had a really, really good support group of friends that were pushing me to do this. They were like, what are you doing? If you're not going to do it now, you're never going to do it. Take the risk. You're good at what you do. You love what you do. So everyone was kind of pushing me. And eventually, I just said, enough is enough. I'm going to take a risk and jump on this. I was doing personal training. I was still training, but it wasn't for real. It was a client here and there, you know, if I could take you in the morning or if I could take you on my lunch break, something like that. So I actually started training people outside because that was the only place we could do it. At the park, using the monkey bars, using all the equipment there. Now they have a bunch of parks that have equipment that you can use, which I think is awesome. That they reinstalled that back into some parks. Instead of putting a slide, they put monkey bars, or they put body weight machines that you can use. So that's kind of where I started. And then within 2 years from that, I just kind of kept slowly pushing it, slowly growing. And I was lucky enough to have my parents offer up their backyard. Put up a big tent. So essentially, once the weather got a little cold, I don't know if you saw today, it kind of snowed a little bit, right? Like you said. So I was like, I have to do something because I can't keep training people outside. It's going to get canceled. I can't train people in the snow. I can't train people in the rain. It's not safe. So I put up a big carport, a big like a 8x15 tent essentially, and I put all my equipment in there. And I figured, you know, I have a fan in here for the summer. I have a heater in here for the winter. Let's see if this works. So kind of took a risk there. Completely quit my job at physio. You know, focused 100% of myself into my career now. And surprisingly, which I'm still surprised, people still want to train there now. I still have it open up in Toronto. It's still going. It's been 3 years, and that tent is still there, and people still come and train outside, whether it's hot, whether it's cold. But eventually, I had to expand again, which is great. And now I'm in this beautiful town of Alcona and Innisfil. And I noticed there was just no gyms when I came up here. There was nothing. There's a YMCA, which is great. And then I noticed there's no Good Life, there's no LA Fitness, there's no, everything's in Barrie or everything's in Bradley or nothing really in the Innisfil area. And for me, I'm not the biggest fan of commercial gyms. I, no problem, worked out there my whole childhood, my whole adolescence. But if I had the opportunity to come to train at a private facility, I would always pick that private facility, especially if it was worth working on my athletics. So for me, hockey, and there's a lot of training off the ice that has to go down, just like any other sport. And I always found that if I wanted to go and actually make a difference, I had to go see a coach. I had to go and see, as much as I knew and as much as I thought I knew, I had to go and see someone who was a professional, who knew more than me, who knew much more than me, and would be able to educate me on.
And that's something that even like huge people, I just saw last week a post from the soccer player Neymar.
Yep.
And he was working out at his private gym. And he showed the workout and he was all messing up, like the weights and so on. And really, knowledge is key to improve anything in life.
Everything.
And you can see that it's not about the money. It's really, if you want to have results, maybe that's why he's always a school, right?
Yeah. But I mean, the thing is, that's where I kind of understand for most people, because growing up, you know, the youngest of three, we all played sports. My parents, you know, dedicated their whole lives for us, which I'm super thankful for, and they allowed us to play an expensive sport. Hockey is probably one of the world's most expensive sports now, and it's just going to continue to get more expensive. So, and you know, for most people, especially in the times that we're living in now, financially, you know, being financially stable is very hard, and it's hard, it's rough, right? Everyone knows, everyone's struggling. So if I can offer a way where you can get that education and you can get that kind of coaching and consistency for, you know, a fraction of the price through group training, which is something that I offer, I'm more than willing to do that for those who are dedicated enough to come out. So I always tell people, I go, look, everyone always asks, so how many days should I start? Like, what do you recommend? What do you recommend? And for me, it's you can go as minimum as 1 or as the maximum of 7. I go, but I'll explain to you why you don't want to do 1 and why you shouldn't be doing 7. Right? So usually a good mix is anywhere between 2 and 4 days a week, depending on what your goals are. So the most important thing is, when you work out, you need to go into the gym prepared on what you want to get out of the gym. So what I find is a lot of people come in and they're just like, yeah, I'm going to the gym today. And it's like, great, well, what are you doing? And they're like, I don't know. I just know I'm going to the gym. So when you go into the gym, there's a lot of confusion. You see a lot of weights, you see a lot of machines, you see a lot of people, right? So it can be very overwhelming. And then from there, you just kind of say, oh, I don't want to come here anymore. It's too much, or it's too out of the way. And, you know,
Exactly what I told you, right?
you,
When we met, I was sharing that how scared and embarrassed I was
yeah,
because I'm very shy on that thing because I grew up obese. So for me, gym was not my territory at
yeah,
all. And the first time I stepped in a gym, like I used to go 3 in the morning in Vaughan because it was like really 2 minutes drive from my house, 5 minutes walking. So I used to go to this place like 3 in the morning because
yeah,
for me, I want to hide from everyone.
right.
Like,
But see, you understood, you know, I have to sacrifice getting up earlier and going in at a time that no one's going to want to go in at so that you can go and train comfortably and get what you want done and get out, right? I'm sure you didn't spend a second in there more than you had to. You did your
no, because
training.
of course I was scared of the emptiness.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, and you're by yourself, right? Lots of echoes.
It was so scary, like terror movie.
Yeah,
And like sometimes I regret because like I could join during the day and like have a personal or someone like there was always people there like the coaches giving like some kind of instruction, right?
yeah,
Like it's something that I think like most women, especially my age, close to the 50s, we have to take this off the shoulders. Like sometimes we are too worried, too like shy,
yeah,
and we ended up not getting all the chances that we should,
yeah,
taking all the chances, and especially when it comes like to workout. And I know it's how embarrassing it is to start from zero.
yeah,
It's like if I have to do like a Zumba class, like you're not gonna see me.
yeah.
'Cause
I'm
so
not coming out to that.
yeah. So I think like this is something that we should go together. And anyone that is in my know we should do a class together. So just
Absolutely. Hey,
comment on Kbuena and text me there because I'm gonna answer. We're gonna set up a group class with hobby and we can join together and no shy there.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, the unfortunate part of this is that, you know, because we're really hard on ourselves first and foremost. So like no one will ever be harder on yourself than you. Because someone can come up to you and be like, Andy, oh my gosh, you look great. And you can be like, ah, I could do better. I could be better, right? You always want to have this push. And like you said, a lot of women, you know, in the 50s, 40s, any age group really, if you're not educated in it, going to the gym is very hard, right? It's out of your comfort zone. It's in a space where, you know, maybe you're seeing people who have the body type that you want, right? And maybe you're obviously, you know, men and women working out together, unless you go to the females only gym.
Yeah.
But even then, the intimidation of going to the gym by yourself and people looking at you, and you know, maybe you're doing something wrong and someone's gonna laugh at you for that, or whichever it is, right? That's that fear.
You know what's funny? You just talk about the only woman. I think it's more scary. When I had my daughter, I went to one of this only woman in Vaughan. So I stepped there 2 times when I went to do my my subscription, and one more time, and that was it.
Yeah,
Because it was so intimidating how the other women were looking at me, and then I was like, okay, this is not
yeah,
for me.
yeah. I mean, what you have to learn when you go into the gym, and it kind of comes down to your own self-confidence too, and how you kind of carry yourself. Because if I go into the gym and I'm, you know, I'm like this, and, oh my gosh, oh I'm so sorry, and you're timid, right? And as you would be if it's your first time in the gym, and I'm sure that's how you felt. um it's not fun, it's not welcoming, it's
Yeah.
not comfortable. So usually I always tell people, try and find a partner, try and find a friend, a family member. It doesn't matter who it is, because if you're there with someone else, someone who has the same goals as you,
Yeah.
so someone who's trying to get onto the same page as you, that you can kind of rely on each other for. So if one day, you know, you don't want to go, but your friend is like, no, come on, let's go. We got
yeah.
that motivation from someone else. So the second thing I find, you know, other than, oh, do you go to the gym? What kind of workouts do you do? Oh, no, I don't go to the gym. I don't do any of that. Okay, no problem. What do you do if you don't go to the gym? What is your plan of action? What are you currently doing? And what I hear a lot, or what have you done in the past that may have worked? And then maybe you fell off the wagon, and then now you want to come back on. So I find everyone wants to start where they stopped.
Yes.
So if I ask you when's the last time you stepped foot in the gym or picked up a weight, and you say 4 years, obviously we can't start you what you were doing 4 years ago. And under guidance from me, we make sure that doesn't happen. But if you were to go on yourself, what I see a lot of people making the mistake of, and I see this a lot around January and February.
Yeah.
New year, new me. I'm going to the gym. I'm going to kill it. I'm going to go look. I'm going to get, you know, this program online, or I'm going to put together my own program. And from everyone that I've been following, social media is huge now with fitness. So there's lots of information out there. The problem is we don't understand what is for us and what we shouldn't be doing. And that's where I see a lot of people make that mistake. They go in, they go really hard. Day one, January 2nd, I'm in the gym. I'm in there for 2 hours, and now I can't move for 4 days.
Right? Yeah, and even if they keep going, they don't see the results because they're not doing right.
Yeah, they're not doing, you know, it's not just the gym. The gym, I would say, is 20% of the whole grand scheme of things, right? So we want to make sure that you don't build your muscle in the gym. So that's the first thing I say to my clients. I go, when you come and see me, you're not gaining here. What you're doing is you're testing your body. You're putting it through stress. You're putting it through a workout. You're making it more resilient. You're teaching it new things, so the brain is stimulated. And that's why you get this really big, you know, I feel good when I finish a workout. I feel accomplished. I feel strong. I feel, you know, I worked up a good sweat. I feel great. Now I can go home and do the rest of my stuff, go to work, grocery shopping, family time, whatever it is, right? So besides the workout, that's 20%. So your nutrition, we all know the nutrition is super important, and so many different fad diets out there. Keto was huge at one point. Carnivore diet is really big now. You know, those who are vegan, they have to eat a little differently. Those who are vegetarian, those who are pescatarian, dietary restrictions, all this stuff matters. And then on top of that, so does your sleep. And I think that the most underrated thing that people don't take care of is their sleep, and that's your recovery. That's where you're building muscle. That's where everything starts to come back together. So in the gym, you break everything down, and then when you sleep, it gets built back up, and then you break it down, and then you build it back up. And that's kind of how we get stronger. That's how we build bigger muscles. That's how we burn fat, depending on what your goal is. So I'll use the example, the push-up example that I told you. If I said to you, you have 24 hours to do 10 push-ups. You got the whole day. You can do these push-ups whenever you want. You should be able to get 10 push-ups in, right? If you do that consistently over the week, that's 70 push-ups. If you do that consistently over the month, that's 280 push-ups times 12 over the year. And all you're doing is 10 push-ups a day. That should take you 30 seconds, right? So if someone comes up to me and says, well, I don't have time, like, all right, well, do 10 push-ups a day, do 10 squats a day. Start with that. See how you feel. And I know with women, from what we spoke, lower body stuff, usually very good. Anything upper body, usually very weak. So I find women will shy away from all the upper body stuff. Well, I don't want to get big. I don't want to get, you know, bulky and big. And I always tell them, take a look at everyone you see in the gym and how many of them are actually really big and bulky and manly. It's very little. It's like maybe 1%, right? And those people have probably been training that 1% consistently for years and years and years. And that's why they look like that. Or they're bodybuilders, or they're athletes, or they're training for something specific. You don't just get muscles just because you pick up a weight.
Yeah.
Right. So I think with women, especially, they want the sleek look, but they don't understand that if you build the muscle on top of that, you get there a lot faster. So everyone's like, well, I do fasted cardio 45 minutes every morning.
Yeah.
Right. That's super common. Right. And there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. But if you want to lift weights, if you want to get strong, if you want to get injury proof, if you want to get shape to your body, you have to do some type of resistance training. It doesn't have to be weights. You don't have to go on the barbell. You don't have to pick up heavy things. You have to pick up something, right? So I remember during COVID when there was no gyms, I was filling my knapsack with textbooks.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have 100-pound knapsack full of textbooks, and I'd use that, and that would be my weight. And we're a little privileged before COVID because we were able to go out and do whatever we want whenever we wanted. Now we're back to normal, kind of. But still, we still have our routine got messed up. I know a lot of people who lost a lot of weight and gained a lot of weight during COVID, right?
Mm-hmm.
What they were doing. So I think what I would really tell people to focus on, the first thing, it's not diet, right? Obviously, make better eating habits, better healthy choices, right?
Mm-hmm.
Water over juice, black coffee over your Starbucks drink if you need coffee. And then obviously no sugar. Sugar is the worst thing you can put into your body. And that's coming from me. I'm a candy guy. So I'm a big sugar guy.
I'm gonna have to lock you tomorrow night.
Yeah, exactly. If I don't, no Halloween, my door's closed. Right? I don't buy the candy because for me, I'll eat it. If it's in front of me, I'll eat it. If I don't buy it, I won't go get it.
Yeah, exactly. The same for me. Like if I buy chocolate,
yeah, it's gone.
I'm gonna eat.
Yeah.
So if I buy, I know I'm eating.
Yeah, if it's in the household, you're more likely to go and pick at it, especially if you work from home. So I find a lot of my clients, they work from home, and it's like, well, I'm bored eating, or I'm bored drinking. Like I'm having 6 cups of coffee because I'm just bored. And I'm like, well, that's not good either, right? Overstimulation. So I always tell people, focus on making the easy choices, right? No junk food, no fast food. Eat whatever you want, but you have to cook it. Yes. I don't care what you eat, but you have to cook it. Start with that. Once we can kick this junk food curve and the sugar craving that we get, which usually takes 5 to 7 days, I'd say usually a week, you start to kind of get on track, or your body starts to realize, well, he's not giving it to me anymore. So I got to figure something out. Then I'll say, okay, now let's introduce a little bit more protein. So maybe make sure you have some type of protein on every meal. Again, I don't care what you eat. I don't care how you make it.
Yeah.
Just make sure there's some protein in there. And then that way you're not so focused on, I got to work out. I got to eat properly. I got to get this much hours of sleep. I can't have this. I got to so much. Everyone builds up and then they go, well, I don't want to do this anymore. And they quit. Right. And that's happened to me, in my experience, when I've tried to do some things, when I try and do too many things at the same time, it usually doesn't work out. Right. But if I can prioritize one of those 5 things, and until I get that on lock, then I go on to the next one, and I get that one on lock, then it's a lot easier. It's longer. It's definitely a longer journey. And obviously people want their results.
Yeah.
Right? I got a vacation in 3 weeks. I need to lose 20 pounds. Okay. How long have you known you needed to go on this vacation? Because you're definitely no longer than 3 weeks, right? The body doesn't work that way, unfortunately. You can make decent gains, but they're usually not lifelong lasting.
Yes.
Right? You can lose 10 pounds super easy. Right? I can lose 10 pounds in 2 weeks, but as soon as I go into a bad habit again, now I gain 12. So I put the 10 on plus the extra, right? And that's what happens with most people. I lost 30 pounds before. Okay, well, what are you at now? Well, I put it back on and I put on another 30, right? So you have this roller coaster wave, right? And I'm sure, with your history too, you've been on the roller coaster, right?
Exactly. It's like, everybody always has like the magical solution, right?
Yeah. Take this pill, do this type of eating, right?
Like, and it's a lot controlled. Like now I can see a lot of Ozempic, but like other than that, like still it's a lot control, because what I see, like for even Turkey and Latin American countries, like we see amphetamines everywhere.
Yep.
So even like people, you're traveling to Brazil, oh, can you bring this for me? And it's really bad. Like if you don't change your habits and you don't change, like I always tell home, like if you cannot say the name of the things, the ingredients in the food you're eating, you're not supposed to eat. Because you're not labeled.
It's what I always say. My partner, she works in the grocery industry. So interesting fact. I mean, I didn't know this. So when she told me this, I was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. So she told me about the layout and what the stores do on purpose. So if you take a look at your grocery store, if you shop the perimeter, so if you just walk into the grocery store, go left, you'll notice it'll go produce, dairy, meat, and then probably, back into some other type of frozen food, and then back around and you're at the front. But if you go in the middle and you end up in those aisles, everything in there you don't need, right? Like you can survive just off the exterior part of the grocery. So I was talking and then I was just like, okay, so
Yeah, it totally makes sense. I never realized that.
Yeah, and I was just like, oh my God. I'm like, that's true. She's like, think about it. Everything on the inside can stay on your shelf. It's shelf life.
Yeah.
Which means that it's not fresh.
Yeah.
Right. Even if you look at the frozen section, like the frozen berries, the frozen vegetables, those are frozen or flash frozen at their peak ripeness. So sometimes what I always tell people is like, we're supposed to eat in season, right? We're supposed to eat the foods that are in season. That's kind of how it was before we had grocery stores. So if I wanted to buy cranberries, right, or let's say tomatoes are a summer fruit, I'm much better off getting frozen than probably the produce because the frozen one is more fresh. So I was just like, she's like, avoid those aisles because what you'll do is if you notice it, it's a mousetrap. It's a maze. You go up and down, up and down. Oh, and then you're browsing. Oh, that looks, because you're probably hungry in the grocery store. That looks good. That looks good. That looks good. And then by the time you get to your grocery cart, you're like, oh my God, I have all this stuff. I came in here for milk. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
I got a whole cart full of stuff. What happened? So another trick would be never to shop hungry. Right? Always go when you're after a meal. So all of those cravings that you have, those sugar cravings, those cravings for chips, popcorn, candy, whatever it is, those are kind of gone because you're so fulfilled with the food that you just ate.
And plan, right? Like for me, planning is like I do list.
Yep.
I do list of everything.
Yeah, you got to go in with a plan.
I do my list. I do the list what I'm willing to cook, and to make it easier, I cook like meals for everyone. So I know what my husband likes, my daughter likes, like I'm gonna do for my parents. Like it's all separated. I put tape, labels, everyone.
Everyone knows what's for who.
And even if I'm gonna frozen, like when you open my frozen, my freezer, you know, like whatever is for.
Yep. And I think that's where
healthier, easier.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people they'll come up to you and I'll mention that, make sure you meal prep and make 2-3 meals throughout the day. So make your dinners over the next 2-3 days, right? Oh, but I don't have time. Oh, but I don't have time.
I take one of the days of the weekend.
Yeah.
It's like half day. I go and cook.
Yeah. You're able to designate that, right? You're like, I'm gonna take my Sunday afternoon. I'm not planning anything. I'm going to cook. Most people won't, right? If we're going to be honest, most people, Sunday's a recovery day from Saturday.
Yes.
Right? Especially this weekend, right? With Halloween coming up, lots of Halloween parties, right? Yeah. Friday, Saturday, everyone back to work now. Monday, oh, I'm hungover. Oh, I feel sluggish. Oh, I feel gross. And it's okay. I mean, Halloween, like these things happen once in a while, right?
That's why you can frozen. Okay, so plan before the week before, frozen your food.
So you're good, right? That's the hardest part for most people, to be honest, is they have to convince themselves of the time. So we need to kind of find ways, well, even for me, I need to find ways to convince my clients that this is worth it.
Yes.
So
yes, very difficult.
Again, it's education, right? If I tell you, hey, stop eating carbs, eat 60 grams of protein, no if or ands or buts. You're not going to do it.
Before my bariatric surgery 20 years ago, like I used to drink pop.
That's like me.
On breakfast. Yeah. That's what you.
Hardcore.
So, because like in Brazil, we grew up like this. Like pop was like something that you could only have if you have this status, right? So it was something that was like, wow, this is so amazing.
Right. It's like a delicacy almost.
Yeah, exactly. So having pop on the breakfast was amazing. Like if like for me, it was like eating a slice of pizza with my pop. It was that was the life.
Yeah.
20 years ago, when I had the bariatric surgery, I put to myself, like, I'm gonna change my life. So I'm gonna start working out. I'm gonna eat food. And it was funny because I was zero salad person.
Yeah.
Then I did the surgery and I had to be on liquid for a month. I don't know if you
Liquid diet for a month.
yeah, it's a liquid, totally
Okay.
liquid for a month, and then another month on soup creams.
Okay. So that's all you were allowed to eat.
Yes, and in
Wow.
small amounts, like 40 meals
Wow.
every 2 hours. So
Okay.
it was funny because when I finished the second month, like it was almost over and I was supposed to start introducing to food, I had a craving for broccoli.
Broccoli.
Yeah. So I was like, there was this lady that used to cook for my parents, and I was like, Maria, please, can you do me that broccoli? You're not supposed to eat. I said, please do the broccoli. And then she did the broccoli. I called my doctor and said, listen, I ate some broccoli and I'm feeling okay. And then he said, okay, you're almost in the process starting. Like, if you wait a little bit, it's okay. It's not, you're not gonna die. So
Yeah.
yeah, so go back to your smooths and also, and then next week we're gonna meet and you start eating. And I said, okay. Then I hang up, said, okay, Maria, now you can serve me.
Let's go.
Like, if you say you're gonna die, go to the hospital. I said, okay, you didn't eat yet.
Right. I mean, so your situation's a little bit different, obviously, because you went through a whole process of, you had to go through the surgery, and then there was a step-by-step thing, and that kind of goes back to like rehab for me. When I would work with someone, I got them at base zero. I didn't even get them at zero. I got them at negative.
Yeah.
Right? No one liked coming to physio. No one liked being hurt. No one liked surgery. So when I would get these people, they were miserable, right? They didn't want to, I have no motivation. I don't want to be here. I'm in pain. It's not working, right? It's been a week of, it's not working. Why isn't it working? So for me, it was more, how do I convince this individual to continue? That's all I need them to do. I don't need to convince them to do anything else other than to show up for the next session.
Yes.
Book the next session.
And it's a lot.
Right? And that's how we took these steps. And my very first client, my very, very, very first client when I was in university, I was co-op. So I was volunteering at a physiotherapy clinic. And a lady came in and she had what we call frozen shoulder. So I don't know if you're familiar with frozen shoulder. So frozen shoulder essentially is you have very, very minimal range to pick up your arms. So it starts, if we can do this, it will eventually only be able to get us here. If we ignore it, it'll go here, and then eventually you can't pick up your arm at all. So she had both arms.
Wow.
With frozen shoulder. And she was an immigrant. She didn't speak very good English. She was an older lady too. She was in her 60s, 70s. And the physiotherapist that was working on her just didn't understand where she was coming from. There was a lot of pain. There was a lot of screaming. So for me, I was just like, oh my gosh, is this what physio is really like? Is this? And then I kind of like took it into my own hands because my job was to show her, put some heat on her. Very, very basic stuff, right? Because I was still in school. So I remember sitting down with her and I said, we'll just say her name is Jamie, right? So if I said, Jamie, why are you here? That's all I asked her. I said, I feel like you don't want to be here, but you keep coming back. So why are you here? And she went in her wallet and she picked out a photo and she showed me a photo of her grandson. And she goes, in very strong English with a very strong accent, she goes, I can't hold him. That's my grandson. I can't hold him. That's why I'm here. So I looked at her and I said, if you do what we want to do with you in here, and if you listen to us and if you trust us, we are going to be able to get you to hold your grandson again. That's what we're working towards. We are on the same page as you. We're not here to hurt you. We're not here to make things worse. It's going to feel a little worse. So her daughter was with her translating. So she was looking at me and she was looking at her daughter and she would look at me and nod, and she was understanding. I think 3.5 months later, that was my last day. It was my very last day. And I saw she was on the schedule. So I was like, okay, I get to see her. She came in holding her grandson.
Oh my gosh.
So I got emotional, right? So I was like, oh my gosh, right? Happy tears, right? Gave her a big hug. She gave me a hug. Her daughter was crying, right? And she kept kind of going, she kept bowing everything. And I was grabbing her hands. I'm like, oh, this is what I'm talking about. That's what made me want to get into what I do, right? That feeling of bringing someone from I'm finished, there's nothing left, I'm just going to live in pain for the rest of my life, to I can now do these things that I only dreamt of doing. I have another client, same thing, bariatric surgery, just like you. Tons of herniations. Couldn't walk for more than 3 minutes without pain. So did the surgery, lost all the weight, but had pain. She just finished a class with me. She was in here with class. She is squatting 200 plus pounds. She is running. She's playing softball. She's playing tennis. She's going on roller coasters. She's doing all these things, and she's 45. She's doing all these things that she never thought. I get a text message. Oh my God, I went for a run today. I haven't ran ever in my life, right?
I know that.
I never went for a run. I don't know what's wrong with me, but I wanted to go for a run. And I said, well, how do you feel? She goes, it was hard.
And people don't realize this part of the physical exercising. It's you feel alive. It brings you back to life.
Yeah, you feel like you can do.
And you feel so strong and empowered. And it's like mentally empowered.
Yeah. That goes into your everyday life after, right? You bring that to your work. You bring that to your family. You bring that to your friends. And that's what people notice. They don't notice your physical change right away, right? Because you can be working out for 4 weeks and have no change.
Yes.
You look exactly the same. But someone who hasn't seen you in 4 weeks will come up to you and be like, oh my God, Andy, you look fantastic. You look so happy. You're smiling. Like, what have you been doing? Oh, I just, been taking care of my health. I'm training with this guy. I'm training with RZ Training, Rob at RZ. I started going for walks. I started, I started getting my diet on track. I quit drinking. I quit smoking. Like, these things start to add up. And it's crazy what 1 hour a day, maximum 1 hour a day, 3-4 days a week can do for you. Yeah, so if you I did the percentage because one person was like, there's no way you have enough time to do all this stuff that you're asking me to do. So I actually made an Instagram post about it, about someone complaining that they don't have enough time. So I broke down everyone's week. So I put it in 40 hours of work, 40 hours of family time, personal, right? Sleep, let's assume everyone gets 7 hours of sleep, which they don't. We know they don't. Right, that's the problem. Everyone thinks they need 4 to 5 hours. We really need 7 to 8. Some people can handle 5 to 6 hours of sleep, especially if you're younger. But if you're older, it takes a longer time for your body to recover.
Yeah.
So that's why I preach, like, there's no wrong time for you to start a fitness journey. Yeah. The earlier, the better. So I work with a lot of youth athletes, and that's something that I hold really close to me, because if I had this type of guidance when I was playing sports, when I was insecure about my body, when I, wanted to quit hockey because I wasn't able to keep up or whatever it was, I might have been in a different situation.
Yeah, and also, like, this thing about young athletes is like so amazing because you avoid so many injuries.
Yeah, down the line.
Yeah, because like I just I'm Brazilian, so I'm gonna have to say about our Ronaldo. Yeah. That now is super overweight, but his whole life, like, he had a problem with the muscle of the leg.
Yeah.
Because he didn't prepare properly when he was developing.
Right.
He used to say that, and you talking about Ronaldo.
Yeah, it's. This is the thing. I've worked with clients as young as 5. Or who's in dance, who's playing soccer, they're just starting to skate, whatever it is, basketball, and as old as 105. And the crazy part is what that 5-year-old was doing. So were my 20-year-olds, so were my 30-year-olds, so were my 40-year-olds, and so on and so forth, because there's a foundation that we have to create.
Yeah.
And the problem is, especially now, like I said, going back to what I said before, we used to go outside and play. I used to ride my bike everywhere. I used to leave at 10 o'clock in the morning, come back at 8 o'clock at night. and everywhere else, Wonderland, walking all day long, parks, sports, extracurricular, even if it's just playing with friends, even if, if we couldn't afford to go and play a sport, we call up a group of buddies, let's go play soccer, let's go play tag, like, right? Now 7-year-olds have iPhones.
Yeah.
5-year-olds have tablets.
Yeah.
And, I get it. Like, we grew up in a different era, right? We didn't have that available to us, or we would have probably been on it, right? We had Game Boy, or we had dial-up internet, right? Like, even growing up, I don't remember having internet until I was maybe 9, 10 years old. So even for schoolwork, everything was handwritten. Everything was reading, right? Doing stuff with our hands. So
we were moving much more.
We're moving. Yeah, exactly. Right. We weren't really just stuck. And what I'm finding with the youth athletes that I'm training now is a lot of them have mobility issues at a very young age. I had a 10-year-old telling me that his back and his knees were hurting him every day. I said, You're 10. I said, that's not supposed to happen. I go, what's wrong? He goes, I don't know. They're just, they're sore. I feel sore. And he was an athlete. He's a goalie and he's a back catcher for baseball. My back hurts. My knees hurt. My back hurts. So I went to go talk to his father. I said, hey, listen, your son's complaining about things that a 60-year-old complains about. I said, he's 10. So I recommended, because my background in physio, go get this looked at, make sure this is okay, especially with them growing, the growth plates get, easily damaged. And there's a myth, right? If you work out when you're younger and you have weights, you're not gonna grow.
Yeah, I heard that.
Right? If you work out, if you lift weights when you're young, you're not gonna grow. If you lift weights improperly at any stage of your life, you are going to get hurt.
Yeah.
Not just youth. It doesn't matter. If you don't know how to pick something up the way you're supposed to pick it up, you're going to get hurt.
Yeah.
Right? Or if you pick up something too heavy, you're going to get hurt. So what I do with these kids, it's a lot of aerobic stuff. So lots of jumping, lots of sprinting, lots of change of direction. Because if we look at the adults, the pros that should be bulletproof, should be, the top tier guys, they're getting hurt week one. Week 1, ACL, gone. Week 2, Achilles tendon rupture, gone. So we can look at those things and be like, well, these pro athletes are getting hurt. There's something wrong here. There's something going on. And they have the best trainers in the world. And I'm sure that right now. Right?
Exactly. Right now.
Like look at Neymar, look at Messi, look at Ronaldo, right? Those guys don't get hurt. When's the Neymar, yeah. But when's the last time you saw Messi and Ronaldo really get hurt where they were sidelined for a season?
Yeah.
Never, because they take the time and they were taught at a young age, 12 years older in the academy, this is what you have to do, right? So getting your kids moving is the one thing that you should be doing. It doesn't have to be, in the gym per se. It just needs to be moving. And then as they get older and they start, getting educated and making their own decisions, you can push them into the gym a little bit more.
Yeah, I think although we are on a much more trash environment when we talk about food, and because we have trash options, we are still ahead now, this next generation, those kids, because they have access to information, what we didn't have.
We didn't have it, exactly.
So for me, it was weights were for bodybuilders.
Yep.
Right? So just when I fell in love a couple of years ago, is that I realized I could change my body, my life, and everything. So for me, it was we had all this, right?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, again, information is the biggest thing. So our parents, that's who we're listening to. So I have a client, he comes to work out, he brings his 2-year-old.
Amazing.
He goes, oh my God, Rob, I'm so sorry. I'm going to be bringing my daughter. Is that okay? I said, absolutely. I make her work out. But I don't make her. She watches what her dad's doing and wants to do it. So her dad
love it.
And it's amazing. And I post it and I post it out there, and she's 35 pounds and she picked up 20 pounds.
Yeah.
And I posted it and people were like, oh my God, please be careful. All this stuff. And I'm just like, you guys don't get it. Right. I'm like, the fact that she's seeing her father do something and she's obviously they copy everything you do, right? Especially at that age.
Yeah, exactly.
So if we can start them like that, then exercise doesn't seem so scary, right? Being in shape isn't so hard. It's
Mhm.
when we ignore it and we're trying to fix it in our 30s, when our body starts to, or our 40s and our 50s, when the body starts to slow down, things don't happen as fast and we get frustrated. So the earlier the better, great. But there is no age group or age line for a starting point. You can start whenever you want. You have to be ready to start.
Ah,
I
ali
can go ahead. No,
no,
no, I was just gonna say I can tell you till I'm blue in the face. You have to do this. You have to do this. If you don't want to do it,
yeah, you're not gonna do it.
yeah. So as long as you're understanding that, okay, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do my best, I'm just gonna show up. So for me, I tell my clients, look, you don't have to do anything. Just show up.
Yeah.
Just come in. I take care of the rest. Just show up. And thankfully, I've had really good. I've been open since March, so really busy now compared to when I was before. Hopefully, it keeps coming and it keeps going. And I'm here to help anyone who needs help, anyone who needs information, anyone who needs to get on the right track, motivation, tips, tricks, whatever it is. Even if you don't work with me, but you want some information, please let me know, and I'll do my best to get all that information to you.
Yeah, leave your Instagram, please.
On my Instagram, where do I leave it?
No, just tell me
Oh,
now, and then when the video is ready for us to post on social media, we post again.
okay, perfect. So the Instagram is RZ Training. So at rztraining.inc. That's the Instagram. So if
Thank you.
anyone wants to reach out, please send me a message. Reach out and let me know. I'll get back to you at the earliest time that I can. And hopefully, if I don't have the answers for you, I can guide you to someone who probably will have the answers. So
Amazing.
I'll do my best.
Thank you so much, Rob, for being my guest. It was amazing.
Thank you
I
so
want to
much.
work out.
Thank you, Sino. You want to come work out?
It motivates me more.
Perfect. Good.
So,
I'm glad.
yeah.
Thank
So,
you for having me. I appreciate you coming out and having me come and talk. Like I said, I don't mind. I love preaching information, proper information, positivity, everything, good energy, like everything. We need to be positive in these times. So if there's anything I can do for anyone that helps them take that next step forward, I'm all for it.
thank you so much.
Perfect.
Muito obrigada a todos que assistiram a gente. Aqui é a Andy, The Social Girl. Mais um Sem Frescura aqui na Kbuena. Queria agradecer meu time maravilhoso, especialmente o Javier, e a minha super boss, a Lu. Beijo grande